Say hi, Joey Only. Hi, Joey Only.
Hi, Joey Only.
I'm Frankie MacDonald. You're listening to Meteorological report every Thursday night. Comedian plus meteorology, comedian plus meteorology. That's Comedian Meteorological Weather Report. Comedian plus meteorology. Joey Only's a really nice guy. He lives in Wales, British Columbia. He fights fires in the summer months. I'm on his podcast every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Joey Only's a really nice guy. I'm on his podcast and on CFUR 88.7 FM radio station of Prince George, British Columbia, CKUW 95.9 FM radio station, Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm on this podcast every Thursday night on Joey Only Caribou Weather Dual YouTube channel. Every Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. Every Thursday night, checking both Joey Only and he's a really nice guy. I'm best luck there, Frankie. You're listening to Meteorological Weather Report every Thursday night. Say hi, Joey Only.
Hi, Joey Only.
Joey Only used to work for Vancouver Giants WHL as well.
Well, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather we got. Wait a minute. Well, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather, whether or not. There it is.
Good morning, Prince George, and good afternoon, Winnipeg. This is the Comedeorological Report. Comedy plus meteorology equals Comedeorology. This is your show about how much the weather sucks.
Be prepared!
We got a whole lineup of people for you this week. We've been trying to get the show to air on CFBX Kamloops, so I hope the station manager gives this show another listen. Hello to you. Hello to everyone in CFUR 88.7 FM Prince George who listens to us on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Hello to everybody in Winnipeg at CKUW 95.9 FM who hears us at Mondays at noon. I'm Joey Only, your host in Wells, British Columbia, joined with Frankie MacDonald, the one and only the famous man out in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Tonight we have special guest comedian Ron Vaudry. Of course, we always have Brandon Houck, the Western Canada weather. I'm stumbling over my own friggin' words. Brandon Houck, Western Canada weatherman from 105.7 FM, Real Country Radio in Brooks, Alberta. There we go. Janet Dermody's already showed up. She's with Cape Breton Originals, also down where Frankie lives. Hilding Donaldson's back from Grassy Plains, British Columbia, and Imogen. And I'm sure more people are going to join because that's always what happens. So we're going to get to Frankie right away and then come and talk to comedian Ron Vaudry right after.
Frankie, the weatherman. Frankie, the weatherman. Who? Frankie. Who? Frankie.
Frankie MacDonald, how you doing so far?
I'm doing great so far. How's Gabriel Berardo doing?
I have no idea. What's going on in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Frankie?
It's cold out there right now. There's going to be a snowstorm tomorrow evening in Sydney, Nova Scotia. It's going to bring a lot of snow in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Halifax, New Brunswick, and all these places. Perth Island. It's going to bring lots of snow, Maine, USA, and things like this, and windy conditions. And Vancouver's getting a lot of rain on Saturday as well. And Ontario's going to get freezing temperatures. There's extreme cold temperatures in Siberia. It's headed towards Western Canada later on in the month. In January, it's going to hit Los Angeles, Vancouver, Victoria, Calgary, Edmonton, Regina, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, and all these places all across the Western United States. It's going to bring extreme cold temperatures once again.
Frankie, what's going on in South America?
In South America, they're bringing a lot of thunderstorms and rain all across Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and all across Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, parts of Peru, and places like this. And Bolivia bringing lots of rain in jungle and Amazon rainforest and places like this. In Central America, they're bringing a lot of rain in Madagascar, Mozambique, Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Uganda, Congo, and all those places. And parts of South Africa is bringing lots of rain lately. And there's a lot of rain going on in Northern Australia and in Northern New Zealand as well, because Indonesia's in the rainy season now, up and around Europe, but they're getting lots of storms and lots of rain and snow. Snow in Scotland, lots of rain in England, and Spain's getting colder temperatures. Algeria's getting colder temperatures later on in the week. It's going to get winter-like temperatures in Algeria and Africa. Egypt will still be getting colder temperatures as well. Lots of storms coming off the coast of Japan. Cold air, warm temperatures fighting each other in Japan as well. South Korea, North Korea, 5 years off Russia. They're pretty so cold in Siberia. Antarctica will be starting to get darker soon, because in Antarctica, it's cold outside in Antarctica. Once again, on March 20th, there'll be 12-hour daylight, 12-hour darkness in Antarctica again. Antarctica will be back in the nighttime again, and the Arctic's starting to get daylight as well.
Frankie, who has the worst weather in the entire world?
Lots of cyclone. There's a lot of bad weather going on in somewhere in the southeastern United States, causing a lot of thunderstorms and heavy rain in Ohio right now. There's been a lot of worse weather in Mozambique, had lots of monsoon rains. Madagascar had a lot of tropical cyclone winds and rain.
Frankie, what's going on in outer space?
Oh my God, the aliens are here!
What's that noise?
Sounds like a flying saucer is coming. There's dozens of aliens coming from planet Sedna, Eris, Ceres, and Quawar. There's a green comet headed towards the Earth on February 2nd, 2023. It's going to bypass the Earth. That's going to trigger a lot of earthquakes. I got major news. La Nina is fading. The cold waters of the Pacific is fading off the coast of Ecuador. That means it's going to bring an possible El Nino. More typhoons in the Pacific this summer coming.
Frankie, what videos did you make on your YouTube this week?
I did a video for Iowa had Nebraska had a bad snowstorm. Iowa had a bad snowstorm. Parts of Iowa and Wisconsin, all these places. Nebraska had a lot of snow.
Wowzers, Frankie. How many subscribers now on your YouTube?
282,000 subscribers. I got major news. Space Guys Party is at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Atlantic Time. The Base Guys having a 1,000 subscriber party on his YouTube channel. 1,000 subscriber party on Base Guy Show. Base Guy made up to 1,000 subscribers because he's been taking videos of trains and things like this, going to places just like his friend Patrick Macca, Sky Universe.
The radio show is, we're actually recording on the 19th of January, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. And you'll hear it in Prince George 2 days later, on the 21st, hear it on the 23rd in Winnipeg.
Hurricane warning! Earthquake warning! Hurricane warning! Earthquake warning! Attention citizens of Southeastern Australia! Attention citizens of New Zealand! Attention citizens of French Polynesia! Attention citizens of Fiji Islands! Attention citizens of Indonesia! Attention citizens of Papua New Guinea! Army rain warning has been issued for Southeastern Australia in 2023 sometime. It's going to bring a lot of onion rains coming from the sky in Southeastern Australia. People in Australia, be prepared. It's going to happen in sometime in 2023. The onion rains will be very powerful in Australia. It may cost a lot of onion rains. It may cost a lot of ketchup and mustard and salt and pepper. It may cost so many onion rains in Sydney, Australia. It will also affect Melbourne, Brisbane, Canberra, Australia. People in Australia, be prepared. Have your deep fryers ready, have your air fryers ready, have your everything ready, and have your batter ready as well, because the onion rains will be really powerful in Southeastern Australia. It may affect New Zealand, Fiji Islands, French Polynesia, and New Caledonia. If not new in all these countries, it's going to affect Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, including Sydney, Australia, East Coast Australia, South Island, New Zealand, North Island, New Zealand, including Auckland, New Zealand, Wellington, New Zealand, and Invercargill, New Zealand. The onion rains will be very powerful in Australia. It may cause a lot of things as well. It's going to bring a lot of onion rains. It's going to affect a lot of places in Australia as well. If you have anybody live in Australia, be prepared for a powerful onion rain storm sometime in 2023. Take care, stay safe. Don't get caught in onion rains.
Frankie, how much snow are we getting?
Lots of snow tomorrow in East Coast of Canada. What about the West Coast? They're getting lots of rain in Vancouver, British Columbia. In Edmonton, you're getting a lot of rain on Saturday.
Absolutely. We better be getting a lot of rain on Saturday. It's going to be awesome. We need it.
Frankie predicting rain in Vancouver?
Yeah.
How does he do
I
it?
know. It's a stretch. Vancouver and Vancouver Island are sponges. They're damp, moist, and kind of slimy because it never dries.
They're
It's got to
rainforest.
come from somewhere.
That's what you get in a rainforest. Rain and forest.
Sounds
So,
like Cape Breton for the last 4 weeks.
And what about the Calgary, Alberta? They're getting Siberian cold air in Calgary later next week. Is going to bring extreme cold temperatures all across Los Angeles, Vancouver, all these places.
So we actually have in Vancouver comedian Ron Vaudry.
Thank you very much. Good evening. How are you? This is pleasant. Can we get this light just a little brighter if it's at all possible, please? I could almost see my dead parents beckoning me in this way. Right the hell out at you like you're late for school. That's an angry light, that one. All right, some of you weren't laughing at that. Let me explain stuff for you here briefly. My friends, laughter is a good thing, okay? That's my only message. It's my only intent. It's a very powerful thing, laughter, a very physical thing, laughter. Every time you laugh, your brain emits chemicals, positive chemicals, dopamines, endorphins that stimulate your immune system and possibly can kill a cancer cell. Yeah. So my way of looking has got to be, if you'd rather have cancer than laugh at my silly jokes about my dead parents, what kind of miserable bastard are you? I like living here amongst you people. I've been living here in Britain for a little over 7 years now, which of course means I've experienced 7 British summers, and Christ, they are special. Should be very proud of these little Kodak moments you call summer over here. You guys are a much hardier lot than you let on. I have so much respect for you people. 10.5 months in a row of gray and drizzle. Every goddamn day I get up and want to stick a gun in my mouth. There's not a drop of vitamin D on this entire island, is there? How did the Germans even find you freaks in the first place? That's my question. They are some lucky guessing Nazis, they are. I like everything about you guys, quite frankly. I love your TV. Your TV is awesome here. It cracks me up every day. ITV News in the morning, they read you the newspapers, the lazy bastards. What the hell is that? It's supposed to be TV. And why do you make your deaf people stay up so late just to watch TV? What's that? Kind of rude when you think about it, isn't it? Anybody else miss the Richard and Judy show? Oh. Those were lovely afternoons pondering what kind of bizarre Dorian Gray deal with the devil did this bastard make, huh? Started out the show with his lovely wife, now he's working with his grandmother. How the hell did that happen? You don't age at all, is she? Holy Christ, you got older during the advert. There's gonna be a pile of dust in the chair as the credits roll by at the end. Well, Judy's gotta go now.
And this would be the time of the show where we introduce our special guest for the week. Ron, you've been a comedian for, a couple of years. Talk to us about your life as a comedian. Talk to us about the weather in Vancouver. Talk to us about...
I lived in Britain for 12 years, so I moved to Vancouver so the weather wouldn't be a major shock. The weather's very similar, isn't it, Frankie, between UK and BC?
It's going to bring lots of snow interior British Columbia as well.
Ah, but the coast of British Columbia, West Coast, Vancouver, and UK weather is almost identical. Okay.
Ron, would you say that even though the weather's much the same, that the people in England and BC are quite a bit different?
Oh,
This is Pete.
People are regional but identical, we're all the same ingredients, just different proportions thereof. Put an accent and a few slang words together and we're all the same, buddy.
Hey,
How do you
Jane,
find,
this is Pete.
Oh, Pete Glanko showing up in Colorado.
How's it going?
Hey, Pete, this is comedian Ron Vaudry we're talking to. He's down in Vancouver.
Which was Pete?
The dark, shady guy. He's driving around in Colorado. He drives for Lyft. And
Hey, Jane.
he's
Jane,
parked somewhere.
This is Pete Glanko.
He's
Hi,
parked
Pete.
somewhere. He's parked somewhere down by Gun Club Road, out by the Space Force
Not
base.
today. Not today. Next week, maybe.
All right, he's
Next
going to
week.
park
I'm
by
on
the Space
20
Force base. He's got a
22nd
Space
in
Force base.
Locust
Ron.
right now. Next time I'll go to the Space Force base.
What we can't figure out, Ron Vaudry, is what do we need a Space Force base for?
Well, we're getting ready for alien tourism, aren't we?
I suppose. I mean,
Park when they get here, we're running out of places. Antarctica is full. Under North Pole is full. Mariana Trench is full of parking. They need a new port outside.
Well, I
So
suppose
maybe-
they need security just like everyone else does to go traveling. Got to have a place for the security to set up.
Yeah, they need security against us.
Well, there are adversaries of the United States that have the capability to launch satellites with nuclear capabilities. So I think it's probably for the best that the U.S. has a little bit of a head start on that.
So, Ron, can you, before we head to Brandon, can you talk to us, give us a rundown of your life as a comedian?
You mean all 43 years in this little segment? Sure.
Yeah, if you could, in a couple sentences.
Been a lot of fun dancing between the cows.
3 words.
It's a minefield with clown shoes on out there, Joey. You know what this industry's about. the mutation after the pandemic has been interesting. So many little indie rooms have opened up by amateurs running their own little spots to get some stage time and having all their friends on. It's gotten almost to a ridiculous level now where you go into an indie room nowadays and you go, well, 20 people in the room. I can work with 20 people. How many acts on? 18. Okay, 18 acts, 2 audience members, and they're doing comedy. It's more like a Comics Anonymous meeting now.
That's kind of what this show is like.
Well,
The show is
Anonymous, yeah.
Well, the idea between the Comedeorological report was that we'd mix comedy and meteorology, and you'd never know with the regular guest who's actually a comedian and who's actually a meteorologist.
If you base a show on the weather, it's going to get local. No, it's the comedy scene is like the music scene. You know, they don't want to pay people. And as long as people can call themselves musicians and get up on stage and make some noise, they're going to take those people over, say, good musicians, quality, talented artists such as yourself or any other of these guests are actually talented weathermen or artists in their own right. They're going to go for what's cheaper and easier. That's all.
It's like when the musicians, they're like, well, they paid us $50 to play, and it's like you're driving all their wages down.
Yeah, exactly. The dominance now in comedy is, can he put asses in the seats? Can he bring his own audience? This idea that you collect up all the emails from ever comes to your show and send out 100,000 emails every time you visit town. Sure, you can probably get 200 people who like you to come out. But when you get people like Dane Cook who do that practice so well and commercially get very successful on that communication and marketing, but yet everything in his pocket is stolen. You know what I mean? Every joke in his arsenal is bull. You can't trust where it came from. But he's very smart at running the business side of it, and that's what it's grown into now. The artistry is second place. If it was ever second place, it's probably third or fourth. Now it's about it's who you know, what age group you're in, how much ass you kiss along the way. Did I say kick? Oops. But yeah, it's all schmoozing now and nonsense. The other day, Amateur Kid introduced me as the oldest comic in the room. It's like, that was my intro. And I had said to him, as soon as I got to the mic, I went, you of all people, how dare you judge a man by the color of his beard? And
what's called? I was gonna say there's a comedy drought because people are walking on eggshells. They're too afraid to say the wrong thing or whatever. So
it
makes it easier for
nonsense.
Oh, that's the truth, and it makes it easier for people that don't have a filter to be creative and be funny because it's like so many bland sauce people out there these days that are afraid to say whatever.
You know, woke is not so much a moral movement, but an enforcement. You know, woke isn't there to point out you shouldn't say that. They're out there now to insist you don't say that. How dare you say that? We don't approve, so we will group against you and teach you a lesson about bullying.
Mob mentality speaking up on bullying and harassment. The irony is absolutely delightful and lost on everyone who participates.
Well, you know, it's like also when you're working within your own threads of thought, you know, and you've got your own little, you know, every village's got an idiot, but now there's 100,000 of them talking to each other every day.
Now the idiots have their own village.
Yes. So now Bob, he's the idiot on the corner. He thinks everything is like conspiracy. Don't even mention 9/11. And, you know, they just had Bob in the corner. Now Bob can talk to Bill in the next town, Bill in the next town. They don't even have to go to their town to meet the other town idiots. They have platforms, town idiot platform. Check in here. Hey, you're right. I love Trump too. You know, and it's all this. Oh, I'm doing politics now. But yeah, it's all this feedback they're putting on. You know, comedy is being dictated by a standard that doesn't exist in comedy. There's no such thing as a victimless joke. I challenge anybody to give me a joke that has no victim in it. You're either self-deprecating, making fun of someone else specifically, or society and human behavior as a whole. But you're making fun of something every time. So there's no politically correct jokes, so there should be no jokes. So where do you want to draw the line? No jokes or take the rules out of the game?
I like to say
take the rules out of the game.
Self-deprecation is the sure bet. If I make fun of
Yeah.
myself, no one can be offended by that. We'll come back to Ron and we'll come back. We haven't even talked to everybody. We haven't even started with Brandon Hauk yet, our Western Canada weatherman. Brandon, what do you got for us this week?
Smoking good barbecue.
The
Oh.
extreme cold is returning.
Oh, yes. Well, we'll talk about that in just a second. But first,
Okay.
it's been foggy for at least the last 5 days. So for the last 5 days, I couldn't be able to see my neighbors or anything like that, or even the front of the driveway for 5 days straight. So I just didn't bother wearing pants for 5 days. So I was pretty much okay with that. And we've actually saw the sun today. That was like, it was like, hallelujah, the sun showed up today. So great weather ahead of us for the next couple of days. We do have a system coming through on Saturday here in Alberta, which will be a cold front Saturday night into Sunday. That could bring us a pretty good little blast of snow, probably about 2 to 5-ish centimeters of snow. And we could see the winds gust about 70 to 80 kilometers an hour. So that could produce blowing snow, reducing that visibility. So that's going to be a lot of fun into Sunday across parts of Alberta, Saskatchewan. That Clipper system will continue to push its way towards the eastern part of the country as we go into next week. And then for next week, we've got some uncertainty with the bouncing around with the temperatures, a little blast of snow here, a little blast of snow here, and we'll see temperatures kind of staying above average for the most part of next week. And then we'll have to watch towards the end of next week. Lots of uncertainty with this Arctic plume that's going to be wanting to dive in from Siberia here, where they've had temperatures in the minus 60s this last week here. So it's going to take its sweet little time, but looks like the northern part of the province will start seeing that cold Arctic air moving in by the end of next week. And eventually, as we get towards the end of as we get towards the end of January into the beginning of February, we will start seeing some of that colder air work its way down into the rest of Alberta and the southern prairies here. And it looks like it's going to be a cold start to the month of February, which will be a lot of fun. And I heard Pitbull's birthday was this week, so I bet he was probably celebrating with his brothers. Rottweilers and Chihuahuas.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Prince George forecast, Brandon, for the next week, I had to double check to make sure I wasn't looking at Hawaii. I mean, this is some warm weather. Saturday, 1 degree, a little bit of snow. Sunday, -3. Monday, 0. Tuesday, -1. -1 on night. Maybe down to -7 on Tuesday night. But I mean, really, this is a nice forecast. So are we going to see much of that cold, do you think, Brandon, in BC?
Well, for British Columbia, I think most of the cold's going to be onto the prairies this time around, especially as we go through next week. Looks like BC should be, kind of right around the freezing mark for a change. So it will cool down eventually, and we'll have to watch as we get towards the beginning of February for that colder surge of air to drop in from the north here. But especially Manitoba, they're going to get into that colder Arctic air as we go towards the end of next week with those. As I switch models here, taking a look at the GFS here, we could be -20s to -30s by the end of next week in Winnipeg. Woo!
Yes, well, for sure on Monday it'll be -7, and by Wednesday, CKW listeners will be sitting at -16. So that drop is coming for you. And I think BC will feel the influence of the cold. I just don't know if we're going to get the cold snap like we had last time. And that remains to be seen, of course. Hilding, you got a quick rundown for us on Grassy Plains, British Columbia.
Well, like you've been saying, it's been basically way milder than we usually expect for January, the whole month. I mean, it's been right around freezing. We had maybe 3 days where it was -8. And beyond that, we've had, like, today was -3, and it was the coldest day we've had for a week. So now this
January.
morning, there was a big red rim to the sky here. And that usually means there's a wind cycle moving in. Brandon and I were talking about it earlier. And he pointed out that there's a big cycle in the Bay of Alaska, just straight west of us here. And I think it's blowing in through the Utsa Lake Channel into central BC, blowing some warm air in. And it may blow that cold air flow from Siberia, just keep it away from us. Well, I think.
It may blow the cold away. Building, stick around. Pete, what's the weather in Colorado like right now?
It is currently 19 degrees. It snowed the other night, and I am near downtown. And in the neighborhoods here, it is still very much icy, slippery roads, and I was
I think your
driving a
hands on the
lot of
mic
nights.
because I can't actually hear what you're saying.
Oh, let me get back in my car. My car's on the car audio, but I would say that's 19 degrees Fahrenheit. It snowed not last night, but the night before. I drove through that. It was blizzarding for a good bit, and there were a lot of flights canceled yesterday and the day before. A lot of people put up in hotels with Lyft and hotel vouchers, and it's been a cold few days. Maybe not by Canada standards, though. Definitely for out here. So it'd be bar.
Well, you're definitely having it colder than we have in BC.
For next week, you're going to go to the
Vancouver
Space Force
has the
base.
boringest weather. Is that why?
Yeah, I'll go to the Space Force base or maybe the nuclear silos.
Ron's got a question for you, Pete.
Is Vancouver's weather so boring it's not worth mentioning much?
Here in Colorado, I
and-
haven't heard
And Vancouver
Canada
snowstorm.
mentioned besides Frankie.
Since the
People
cold,
know Frankie, but
since the cold air
people,
setting for Vancouver again, there could be chance of more snowstorms in Vancouver. There could be more rain. There's a possible major earthquake in Vancouver anytime soon.
What's it been like for you, Imogen?
Rainy. Last night it got to -2, so this morning everything was frosted over. For the most part, it's been actually more clear and crispy, little bits of rain here and there, and then lots of frost, so everything was damp. It's like walking on a frozen sponge. It's just wet and crunchy.
Vancouver's weather is so easy. Ask me what Vancouver's weather is today. I'll tell you. Gray, cloudy, chance of rain. Ask me what it is tomorrow. Gray, cloudy, chance of rain. Ask me the next day. It gets better.
What about
Yeah,
next
just-
week?
Just somehow stays the same level of wet. The rain pours constantly. Like it's always damp, but like the water levels never go up. Nothing builds because it's a damn sponge.
I'm
live
surprised
in a
it's not
sponge.
going up. There's so much sponginess.
The only person we haven't talked to before we come
I
back.
just found out Janet was on the CBC News. Janet was on the news.
Janet Dermody from Cape Breton Originals. You were on the CBC News.
I was. So I was on the news because I have some inherited land from my mother, and I'm looking for someone to develop affordable, sustainable housing on my land. So I made national news in looking for developers to come and build on my 1.5 acre waterfront property. So I live I live nowhere near my land, but I have land, and I need a home put on it. So build me a home and build 10 more homes for other people for free. Yeah, foolish dreams just might become reality. Who knows?
The weather in Sydney, Nova Scotia isn't that much different than Vancouver's.
Sounds the same.
Yes, it is.
I don't know. It's wet. The ducks are out in the yard. They're swimming in the puddles. I haven't had to scrape my car all year.
Most of the times in Nova Scotia, you're going to look for your car with a hockey stick poking it in the snow. It's not the same.
Yeah.
as Vancouver.
About a decade ago.
We're part of the wind funnel of the St. Lawrence Seaway.
Yeah.
You and Montreal have the two worst heavy snow years anybody else in Canada.
And now we need to buy snow. It's like, do you have any for sale? We need it.
Oh, the winds are shifted. They'll be back.
Yeah. Frankie says we're getting snow tomorrow, so I'm getting the snowmobile gas ready.
Nova Scotia weather is nowhere near BC coastal weather. Nowhere near the same. Does it rain in rainy seasons? Yeah.
That means that down California, they're getting Santa Ana winds in California. This Friday, Saturday, Sunday's going to bring a lot of fires in Southern California.
Frank, what's the hottest it's ever been in Nova Scotia? What's the hottest it's ever been in BC?
For Lytton, BC, British Columbia was 48 degrees Celsius, July 2021.
Whoa.
The fire destroyed the entire town of Lytton.
What's the coldest it's ever been in Vancouver?
So below -10 degrees Celsius in Vancouver.
That's not even like a nice day in Halifax or Montreal or Winnipeg.
And Vancouver's getting more snow soon because polar vortex is coming all the way from Siberia. It's headed for British Columbia, and real cold air is going all the way down to Los Angeles as well.
All right. Well, I'd rather carry an umbrella than a shovel. So I think I'm in the right place.
But they get earthquakes in Vancouver.
All right.
Thing is, you don't actually have to carry a shovel though. You just
People know.
you use it at your house and then you leave it there. You don't
You have
carry
to
a
have
shovel.
You have to have your earthquake kit ready.
Hurricane warning! Earthquake warning! Hurricane warning! Earthquake warning!
Do you
People in
ever get
Vancouver.
earthquakes in Nova Scotia?
1929 in November.
People of Vancouver, they can't escape major earthquakes forever, can they, Frankie?
They can't escape from major earthquakes forever.
People in Vancouver, you can't escape from major earthquakes forever.
How about another 40 years?
It's going to happen anytime soon.
Anytime soon, Frankie says.
I wouldn't worry about the fault lines along the coast. Keep an eye on Yellowstone. When that bugger burps, we're all gone.
What do you think, Frankie? What's going to happen first? Major earthquake in Vancouver or Yellowstone major eruption?
Major earthquake in Vancouver will happen first, then Yellowstone major eruption after that.
People in Vancouver can't escape major earthquakes forever.
People in Vancouver, you can't escape from major earthquakes forever.
Ron Vaudry, do you have an earthquake preparedness kit?
Yeah, they're called my legs. Get away from the tall buildings. They're trying to destroy the tall buildings. Stay away from them. It's an earthquake zone. Oh, this is great till 8.2. Well, the big one's going to be a 9 or a 10. So thanks for building them. So
What happens if Vancouver gets a magnitude of 10? What's that mean?
People in Vancouver, you can't escape from major earthquakes forever. Be prepared.
That means there's not enough rescue crews in the entire country to help out a major city when the buildings go down. So
Yeah,
you guys out there in the country, keep rocking. You're the future of the universe.
They have to get the army. They have to get the army from other countries.
Hey, they're always going to need to know the weather. So when the post-apocalypse comes, buddy, you still got a job. People need to know the weather. You gotta know which way the sun is.
They got a Salvabar top seed fault in Salvabar, Norway, just in case the apocalypse happens.
Norway's still saving seeds. You're right.
No,
Greenland or Iceland?
My first reaction to that was we couldn't have picked a place where things actually grow.
Hey, when the earth shifts, Canada's going to be one huge fruit belt all the way up to Ellesmere Island. Either way in the shift, we got a lot of Greenland left over. Laugh at us now. Watch all the Americans suck up to our cool border.
Oh, hell no. That'll be a cool day at hell. Let's Americans start migrating north to Canada.
Yeah.
People are.
For visiting,
People
baby.
are. People have
Hey,
ran
they're
to
out
Canada in the
their
last
mind.
5 years.
Visiting for
I've
draft,
had enough
for water
winter in
rights.
Colorado here for a lifetime. That's oh look.
Make no mistake, those pipes are to take our water, not our oil. They want our water. It's like a soy and green story. You can reset those pipes and all our water is theirs. Anybody watching the water? Supposed to be a funny weather show, right?
Well, no, it's the truth. I was even before you said that, I was going to say that.
On your land, it's still their water. Apparently, the weather.
Now, one of the biggest sources of immigration in Canada is Americans.
Yeah, of course. They love it up here. It's like an angry Disneyland with no guns.
I found it. A lot of students from India and Pakistan are moving to Sydney, Nova Scotia from school.
Stick to the
They
weather.
They are not used to our weather, are they, Frankie?
A lot of them are coming here to go to school.
You know,
Well,
they send American soldiers to train in our tundra every year, and they always lose 2 or 3 to the cold.
You want to get tough? Come live in Wells for a while. You got to be nuts to like it here.
Wells. It's a little Shangri-La in the middle of those crazy highways.
Yeah, Ron did a comedy night here. What was it like, you think?
It was worth the drive up, and even worth the scary drive down. But yeah, it's a very cool little community. I love the way everybody like closed their eyes, put their hand in their bag, pulled out a color, and they have to paint their house that way. It's a beautiful idea for a town.
It's more or less that way. It's got that East Coast kind of paint scheme, eh?
Yeah, it's like have a town painting on acid, everybody.
Mhm.
And you-
Coast painting theme. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
It's got more colors on a row than a Portuguese fishing village. You know, it's
You mean like my
brightly colored. By the way, you can sell 2 or 3 homes alone on that hairpiece.
We're still trying to figure out what to call Janet's hairdo.
The hurricane.
It's the hurricane.
Yeah, it's lifted in a natural sense and clipped into place naturally. The bob is held on its own tension. I think that was the hair. But either way, it'll make
always-
a good cartoon version of you as well.
I always thought the word hurricane was really sexist.
Here comes the story of the hurricane.
Yeah, see?
Hurricane.
Sure.
Keep an element of the weather in this conversation at all times. Can we?
But the hurricanes get real wet, so it makes sense.
Solid point, Pete. Pete for the win on that one.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's like Pee Wee Herman's word of the hey! We should all flip out when somebody mentions hurricane.
Today's magic word is hurricane. You know what to do when you hear the magic word? Scream real loud.
Hey, from any extreme weather anywhere on the planet, say down the Kansas way,
Hurricane warning, earthquake warning, hurricane warning, earthquake warning.
Extreme weather on the planet, like typhoons, like Super Typhoon Tiff back in the 70s, and extreme smallest typhoon.
More of a tropical thing.
Cyclone Tracy that hit Northern Australia back in the 70s.
When does hurricanes season return, Frankie?
June 1st, 2023.
Nobody's playing, Joey.
No one's playing. Come on, guys.
Is it going to be a mean hurricane season this year,
Frankie?
La Nina is fading away off the coast of Ecuador. That means the Pacific waters off the coast of Ecuador is warming up because La Nina is fading.
So does that mean there's going to be strong hurricanes this year?
It's going to be stronger hurricanes in the Pacific, like typhoons in Tokyo, Japan, Kyoto, Japan, Osaka, Japan, Sapporo, Japan, South Korea, North Korea, Russia, and China, Vietnam, Laos, and Singapore, Philippines, and Thailand, and Hong Kong, and Guam, and all these places, and Osaka, Japan, Okinawa, Japan as well.
Oh my God, in Japan.
Oh my God, in Japan.
Oh, they're going to have to start getting prepared now.
It's still
Megan and Russia might even get hit by a typhoon. Or Flavia Sakurasha might even get hit by a typhoon as well.
Do you think they should be prepared, Frankie?
Be prepared.
Yes, they should. But they don't speak English. They speak Russian over there.
You should learn how to say be prepared in every language, Frankie.
And did you hear what's going on in Ukraine when Michael Senikov is?
Only news I've heard out of there is bad news. Not a whole lot of good news. I got a Ukraine colored vape pen today or yesterday.
That is good news.
Yeah, that is good news.
Tell me more about your vape pen. It's a
Do
refreshing
more to
change
support
of
the
vape.
Ukrainian cause by smoking out of a Ukrainian colored vape pen, everybody. Well, there's nothing beats the economics of picking butts off the ground.
Yeah,
Classics never die.
Here's the thing. Why does a bottle of vegetable oil and a drop of chemicals cost the equivalent to a package of cigarettes, which is taxed at 800% margin? Why is that syntax allowed to make a $2 product $20-something?
So I don't know how much university radio wants us to be talking about smoking, anyways. So.
Oh, I don't recommend it. I quit smoking,
Let's
I
get off the
walked
nicotine
a half a
conversation.
day.
Just say no to tobacco.
Don't be weak.
Just learn to submerge yourself in normal society where you can talk about tobacco without making your weakness everyone else's fault. You know,
Hey, that's a great point. I like you.
You know, I'm all for everybody not smoking. The evidence is in. There's no more doubt. But why is every cent being made in exploitative taxes being used against the smoker instead of helping the smoker? Case in point,
I agree with you there. I agree with you there.
As soon as America beat them in the Supreme Court would prove beyond a shadow of a doubt they knew it was addictive, they knew it was harmful, they lied about it and sold it anyways. Each and every state in America passed a law saying that they will sue the tobacco companies on behalf of the people, you losing your right as the victim, being taken by the state. And every state, 500 million, 800 million, they win in these lawsuits. And less than 1% of it goes into anything to do with helping people quit smoking.
And I got something else to say. Okay, guys, we're going to do it. Hot dog tornado. It's a nice day out. It's sunny outside. It's beautiful. Oh, clouds are coming. Oh my God. Sounds like thunder and lightning. Oh my God. Hot dog tornado on the ground. Hot dog tornado on the ground. Hot dog tornado on the ground. Oh my God. Look at the hot dogs going around. Swirls like this. Oh my God. This is a hot dog tornado. Oh my God. Look at the hot dog tornado. Oh my God. Look at the hot dog buns. Look at the hot dogs. So many hot dogs flying around. More hot dogs flying around. I better run. More hot dogs. More hot dogs. It's getting worse. Hot dog seems to be getting worse. Oh, hot dog tornado's getting worse. It's getting intensified. It's up to F5. Hot dog tornado. A lot of hot dogs flying around. Tornado's over.
Be prepared!
All right, which way the cow's facing? Saskatchewan will tell you which way the weather's blowing. Up at 10 o'clock. Sure, I've solved homelessness in Vancouver if anybody wants to listen. Okay, that's not where we're going either.
All right, funny story. I made a video about paving. Now, I made the video about paving because it just finished putting about 5 centimeters of snow on the ground and the rain was going for half an hour. So we had a nice slushy base. Who paves with 5 to 7 centimeters of slush while it's heavy raining before a rainfall warning? Who does that? Oh,
well, you made the video.
Municipality. Our municipality does that. So I posted the video, and then all of a sudden, every person that paves we all pave in the rain. I'm like, but our roads are falling apart. But it's okay to pave in the rain. I'm like, no, it's not okay to pave in the rain. So all these shitty companies that pave in the rain were trying to say how great their jobs are and they can do a good job in the rain. So I went out 4 hours later and showed all these rocks. I'm like, well, why didn't you just leave it gravel until the sky was dry? Oh, it's okay to pave in the rain. We've got this temporary pavement. I was like, well, they got this other stuff called gravel. It's also temporary and it doesn't require any pavement or slickery stuff. Oh no, it's safe. So when I went back, all the pavement turned into gravel. But at this point, guess what kind of gravel it was now?
Big, chunky, hard blocks of pavementy chunks.
Of slippery, coated gravel. So they thought that was safer than just the raw gravel. Because, I'm just a woman. What do I know?
It's safer for their bank account. Come on. That's
Right?
what it's safe for. Because they can bill for the repairs for unseen circumstances. Unforeseeable elements.
They get to keep people on high pay up at Fort McMurray, but mining a bunch of tar to put out in pavement. It's about the
Yeah, the pavement company gets a better, higher contract than if they just put down some gravel. Like that, what politics about?
Well, yeah.
Maximizing the.
They're paving the roads, which is paid for by the city. And when the city says we're creating jobs, they're literally just creating redundant tasks.
It was the city.
Yeah.
It was the city that did it. So the city did it. And then I had it was at the bottom of a hill. So then I got all the community, the guys that do paving. Well, you can't leave just gravel there. It's dangerous. I'm like, it's dangerous. I'm like, it's a hill.
It isn't.
I said, do you think there's no dirt roads on this island that don't have pavement, period? Oh, well, they couldn't comment on that because, it's true. And then this other factor, didn't your vehicle have brakes? And then they couldn't fathom that either. It's like, well, don't talk about brakes. Like
Way
that.
more than half of Canada is gravel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they tried to make me look like the stupidest woman in Canada for calling them dummies for paving on top of slush while it was heavy raining. But I was the dummy.
So what you're saying it was
Clearly,
the
you're an
city's.
idiot.
What you're saying is it was the city's asphalt.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
You're tuned into the Comedeorological Report on C for 88.7, CKW 95.9 FM, and we got all the bad punchlines.
Well, what makes me laugh is the fact that they're so scared they're telling farmers not to drive a tractor that leaks oil, or machinery that works in the bush. They're not allowed to leak any oil, or they're trying to make them use vegetable oil. And then you turn around and they say, oh, but the roads are exempt from that. Have you ever walked down a road when it's raining? The water running off the road is like a rainbow.
Yep. Pure oil slick. It's okay if you know the government does it. It's okay if it's paid for by the government because they're doing it for everyone's best interest.
Yeah,
However, if standard business operations require a little bit of something, a fraction of what happens at the federal level in your neighborhood, oh, it's your fault.
Clearly, if they do it, everyone should.
And don't argue with people about paving in the snow on top of slush.
You guys are so political. I don't know about this conversation.
Well, I think your baseball thing, you really got to get your kids out there and get some snowshoes on and try and play a game in the deep snow, because I haven't seen it before and it'd be new. Paint your ball different color, you know, not white, and then give it a try. You might like it.
Janet Dermody wants me to play baseball in the snow and make
With
it
snowshoes?
Out of the house for a few hours.
You can paint your bases on top of the snow.
I think I'm just gonna keep playing on my 65-inch TV I got this week.
I suppose.
You were always a mountain kid, weren't you?
No, I grew up in Ontario, but I grew up sort of near Bancroft, north of Madoc, swamps.
Well, have you been in the Highlands longer than you've been in Ontario?
Well, I bought the place here with Josh in 2009, so we've been in Wells a long time now.
And you left the band in March 2020 because of the lockdown.
No, I wasn't playing music much already by then, Frankie. I haven't played music much probably since 2016.
Well, do you think maybe being snowed in most of the season could have something to do with that?
No, it has everything to do with being a dad, and
Well, yeah, that too.
you know, you just like I don't go on the road for 3 weeks at a time anymore.
No, that's the shame of it. In Canada, you have to, if you want to just maintain yourself and your art. And it's unfortunate there's not enough that we have to drive through the kind of weather we have in this country just to do a gig and get paid not enough for it. You know, weather keeps you at home. You know, you don't want to drive through, say, Vancouver to Calgary in January or March.
Well, you make a good point, Ron, that I've done that many times and had many trips over those. You know, I played a couple thousand shows.
Oh, yeah.
Many trips that were nerve-wracking and terrifying, or we're going to be late, or you're passing by fatal accidents on the highway, or roads shut down, or just, you know.
I've most of my driving through your mountains sideways.
I saw an accident happen in front of me yesterday, but it was fortunately not. I've seen some tore up cars the past 2 days after the fact, but I saw one happen in front of me yesterday. The icy shoulder, they skidded, bam, right into the interstate wall. Though they weren't going that fast, so they were all right. But it bumped off the wall almost into my car. I was like, hey.
Yeah, were they 4x4s?
4x4s? What do you mean?
They don't stop any better.
Oh, four-wheel drive? I don't know.
They have this false sense of security because they can grip and propel themselves down the road, but when it comes to braking, not better than any other car. So
yeah, it's a lot about tires. I've learned. This is my first winter driving in the snow, and new tires on this bad boy was clutch. I've been this is a front wheel drive, and I've made it up many steep slopes with the new tires, but before the new tires, well, I'd be sliding backwards.
Yeah, well, ideally, you want studded tires in the winter, and you can drive like a Swedish rally driver, but they tear up the pavement.
Yeah, they tear up the pavement, and then also I like having the for myself and my passengers having a smooth ride when the roads aren't too bad.
If I have to deal with the hum of studded tires over safety, I'll take an opera of studded tires.
Oh yeah. No, I'll just am careful where I drive and careful when I drive.
No, that's why you got to keep up on the weather, regardless of where you are.
That's why you have to be
Yep.
prepared.
Be prepared.
So
You know how important the weather is going to be when it's time for revolution? You got to plan your revolutions around the weather.
Hey, Joey, says Janice from Cape Breton, you look for a radio station, Sydney, Nova Scotia, to play your show.
That would
Yes.
be a great idea.
And I'm completely kidding about the revolution part. I know this is regular radio.
I'm not completely kidding about it. I mean, that's the only thing that's going to save humanity at this point.
this is regular radio, not the television. As they say, the revolution won't be televised. So
That's true.
Well,
Yeah.
information, Generations Z gives me a great hope for the future because they're the first generation completely educated by the computer, by instant access to information. They know so
That's
much
what scares
more
me,
than-
though. Is
is
it's
there
the no
a sense
attention
of
span
sarcasm there,
generation.
or are you serious?
Their moral sense of right and wrong is astonishing. They're the thing that saved America during this last election with the abortion question being top of the ticket. It was Generation Z, who stepped up and went, all right, this we're going to vote on. And there was no change in Republican voting. There was no change in Democratic voting. The only game was Generation Z. And that generation saved the Republic, and yet they give them no credit. I think they're a generation bound for glory. I think they're the next smart group of people on this planet to take over.
Hey, that's nicely said, actually.
As long as they got some work ethic,
Now,
so,
if they all get
I don't know.
involved, we'll be fine.
I see all sorts of.
I don't have work ethic, and I'm a Dutchman. Frankie, how does everyone find you on the internet if they wanted to find Frankie MacDonald on the internet somewhere?
My Twitter's at Frankie MacD. My Facebook is Frankie MacDonald. My Instagram is Frankie MacD984. My TikTok is FrankieDown984. My platform is FrankieDown984. My Twitch is FrankieDown984. My Snapchat is Frankie MUCDON. And my LinkedIn is Frankie MacDonald. And my YouTube channel is Dogs and Wolves. Best of luck to you. I'm Frank Down. You're listening to me. You're out to Joey Oli.
That's right. I'm Joey, the Caribou Weather Dude. If you want to see the live stream of the show, we live broadcast it every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on my YouTube channel, Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude. And we also do the completed version of the show. I upload that on Fridays generally, so you can find all the different quips and quirks and things I add in. So do go to Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude and subscribe. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming on CKUW 95.9 FM. I know all you meteorology students out there in Winnipeg University are addicted to this show. It brings us so much joy. And C for 88.7 FM up in Prince George. We know how much we mean to you environmental students there. And we can't
got
wait to be on.
listeners.
Well, yeah, people, that's the thing. We have radio listeners. So that's what we're trying to do is make a radio show, Pete. That's what we're
I
doing.
didn't even realize people listen to it though. That's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was on iHeartRadio.
Hey Joe, you'll get the radio. You on the radio. You'll talk to radio stations down in the states to get to play your show, like Houston, Texas, Dayton, Ohio, Boise, Idaho, Los Angeles, and all these places.
We should be on every station in the world, Frankie.
I'll get on it. I got some contacts. I'll get on it and try to see.
This week, our special guest has been comedian Ron Vaudry, who's down in Vancouver. Thanks very much for coming on the show, Ron. And do feel free to come on and join the gang here every Thursday. We'd love to have more of you. I'm Joey Only, Caribou Weather Dude. Frankie MacDonald, your other host from Sydney, Nova Scotia. Then we also had Janet from Cape Breton Originals. I think this is her 4th time on the show, so really nice to have you on again, Janet, of course. Brandon Houck, our radio weatherman at 105.7 FM in Brooks, Alberta. He's on every week, and we're very thankful for that because he is the weatherman. Imogen Cookie Bailey down in Victoria, Pete Galenko down in Colorado, Hilding down in Grassy Plains, up in Grassy Plains, over at Grassy Plains. Depends on where you are, I guess, if he's up, down, or over. I guess that's pretty much the show this week.
And order your Frankie MacDonald bobblehead cowboy hat. cowboy hat bobbleheads.
Any last pitches to throw in, people?
Yeah, how about a homeless weather report? Something relevant for homeless populations across the country. When should you start planning to bundle up for the weekend?
Well, we have had that before with Ronnie Grigg
Really?
at
Who's the
homeless
one of that?
camps.
I think it's hysterical. And the very
We've had Ronnie Grigg reporting
Yeah.
from homeless camp there in Vancouver on the weather.
Anyways, that's
Been the case for all of Vancouver's existence. I mean, you look down in the 30s and 20s, that was a drunken, rowdy, crazy town, man.
Oh yeah, you talking about Vancouver or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. It's always been that. It's always been that port town where that
It
people in the
wasn't
middle
like
of the
beachcombers, but that was the general image.
that was just that's what CBC wanted you to believe.
Yeah, of course.
Any other last pitches?
CBC had probably been trying to direct our perception of ourselves to our faces since they turned on their first TV. Yeah.
Well, you know, I've
funny.
listened to a lot of CBC radio, and I can barely yawn my way through it, most of what's on there these days. So
Oh yeah, it's like I say.
and that's why CBC radio should have the Comedeorological report on it. I guess that's our show for this week, everybody. I'm Joey. Only see you next time.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna do a video about the guy eating 50 hot dogs at once. I want you to eat 50 hot dogs at once! My stomach is upset. I can't get up anymore.